Welcome to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside KDKA Studios right here on Pittsburgh CW for the Extra Point Show. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you in studio for the next 2 hours. You're going to hear from Mike Tomlin, players, analysis, plus we take your phone calls as we always do. And right off the top, I'm going to give it to my partner here, Chris Hoke. He said, commit to the run, do it more. Become more reliant on the run. And what happened today, they did that. They ran the ball for numbers we haven't seen all season.
If you want to run the football effectively, you've got to commit to the run and you got to pound it. And you saw right there in this game, the Steelers started to build momentum there in the second half. They completely dominated the second half of this game, taking the ball away, getting sacks, running the football, imposing their will. That's what happens when you commit to the run. Today, Bob, 43 carries for 217 yards, 5 yards a carry. That doesn't happen if you run only Najee 8 times and you're not trying to come off the ball. The offensive line, for the most part, was getting movement and still in the grass of the New Orleans Saints defensive line.
There's no question. The second half, I thought that was as good a half as we've seen all year.
Absolutely.
They were dominant on both sides of the ball, came up with 2 big interceptions. We talked about Damonte Kazee and what he is, and he's been gone for a while, but Mike Tomlin was in training camp saying, man, this guy can give us a lot of depth. We used 3 safeties. We could do different stuff. Now he's back. Of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick did not play today, but Kazee played extremely well for not playing. And what can you say about T.J. Watt? Every time he's in there, he makes a difference. And they simply don't lose necessarily when he's in there. And it's been terrific. So I thought T.J. Watt was outstanding. And even though the numbers individually won't say that, what he meant in terms of a ripple effect for this defense.
Well, I'm looking for his stats, Rex. I want to see what his exact stat line was because we don't have that right now. But the reality is that he had an impact on this game, not only with tackles for loss, not only for pressures on the quarterback. He didn't get a sack today, but he did put pressure on Andy Dalton, as you see right there. He inspired his team. And listen, when your best player is out there on the field, everybody elevates their game, especially Alex Highsmith, who today had 2 sacks, both coming in the fourth quarter, or excuse me, the third and fourth quarter, second half, which made a huge difference on the surge of this defense there in that second half of the game.
There's no question he's a much better player and I'd say that about a lot of people, but Alex Highsmith's had a good year. Yeah. Strip sack at the end of the game, dropped that ball for Andy Dalton, had to take a loss. So the defense was really good when it had to be against this New Orleans Saints team. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Mike Tomlin will be next up. Player interviews. We got a lot of stuff going on right here on your Neighborhood Ford Store. Extra point. Steelers win 20-10 is your final score as the Steelers get to now 3 wins, 6 losses with a date against Cincinnati next Sunday on KDKA. There's your final. We're back to talk about it next.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
Well, the Steelers come away with a win. That makes Mike Tomlin 12-4 after bye weeks, and his team responded with 2 weeks off, essentially. They got healthy, even though Minkah Fitzpatrick at the last part of the week came up with an appendicitis attack. That's something you can't really plan for. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's take a look at the scoring summary of this game because the Steelers really came out and took it to them in the first quarter. It was a difference of 2 quarters, first and second. Yep. First went to Pittsburgh, and then it was New Orleans. Pickens with a rushing touchdown, his first in the NFL to make it 7-0. Matthew Wright hit a 33-yarder. Then it's Will Lutz with a 44-yarder. Andy Dalton went to work right before halftime. Juwan Johnson was taking advantage of the middle of the field, specifically against Robert Spillane, who made a big play at the end of the game. So it was 10-10. Second half, though, it was all Pittsburgh, even though they missed 2 right field goals, and they were ugly ducklings right there. But he made 1. Pickett then with a score after the interception by Kazee, and that put this game away.
Yeah, and that was a great play right there by Pickett, finding the hole in his quarterback sneak. That has come to be really a big play for Kenny Pickett, running that quarterback sneak. It seems like he has a knack for it. You saw it in the game there, and that 4th down stop. Andy Dalton couldn't do it. So it is a special talent that Kenny Pickett has.
But you know, Andy Dalton has a way of doing it. Over his career, he's been very successful. This time he went up high instead of low. Pickett went low. Brady, when he always does it, goes low, and you have more of a chance, I think, doing it that way.
Yeah, when Tom Brady does it, he has his foot back. He's like in a sprinter stance. He's ready to go. And Kenny just does a great job. It's a great feel. He sees where the hole is. And just like on that touchdown quarterback sneak he had, he didn't go right in the A gaps, right to the right or left of the center. He went all the way out to the right side B gap and got in there. And just a great feel for that. I thought Kenny, we'll talk more about how he played in this game, but he made some plays. But the young fella's got to continue to improve. He's got to continue to watch the film and take an objective look on the tape and make improvements week in and week out.
Well, the thing about him is in the first half, I thought his deep ball was not very good. When he threw it down the field, he was very erratic. but he got injured. His ankle was certainly compromised. You can tell he was feeling it, but he stayed in the game. He showed a lot of toughness. I think you've come to know that with Kenny Pickett during his time at Pitt. He's a tough competitor. He is a competitor. And when he's on the field, he's as good as it gets when it comes to trying to win games no matter what the situation. And he showed that in the second half of the game. But again, it helps having a run game that's very impressive, and it was today. And a large part of that is his ability to scramble. He had 3 runs today that were over 15 yards. And when you do that, you break down a defense, Chris. I mean, you have everything covered in New Orleans secondary, and then you look up, and all of a sudden, Pickett escapes.
Especially when you play man, right? Because they got their backs to the quarterback. So it gives itself and lends itself to an opportunity for the quarterback to scramble because there's not so many guys with their eyes on the quarterback. He could take off and go. And you saw it today. I mean, he had 8 carries for 51 yards. That's quite a bit of yards for a quarterback. And he did struggle with that deep ball, Bob. He had that nice pass at Damonte Johnson there late in the second half. But throughout the game, he missed guys, he overthrew guys, he didn't see guys. This game is still happening a little fast for Kenny. He's got to speed up his mind, and that'll come as he gets more and more snaps, more and more reps. But today you saw some of those sacks were on him. Some of the times when he tried to curl out of the pocket and bail out instead of stepping into it. Those are things that he will overcome, and he'll grow as he looks at the film and he listens to coaching, and he'll be much better off late in the season.
Yeah, I think he is developing, and that's what we said about him. When he gets in there are going to be some ups and downs. And certainly in the second half, you saw a lot more ups than downs. 4th and 2 today, a big play on their first scoring drive. It was a Pickett to Warren +6. 8 for 8 are the Steelers this year in 4th downs in their last 8 tries. So the bottom line is they've been getting it done however they can. It's good to see them be aggressive there. Mike Tomlin is about to address the media right now over at Acrisure Stadium, so we're going to take you there.
Nice to get a win coming out of a bye, particularly at home in front of our fans, man. Just really appreciative of the efforts of everyone. A lot of positive contributions in all 3 phases. Obviously, some things we can do better and things that we need to work on, but it's good to work on those things with the win. And so we'll take those lessons and move forward and get ready for our next opportunity. We'll be right back in here next week. We just got to keep digging. Appreciative of the win, appreciative of the efforts. A lot of fun in the locker room, man. It's just good to get the job done. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate it. But we also understand it's not anything mystical. It's good work. It's minimizing negativity, staying on schedule on offense and possessing the ball, running the ball, winning possession downs on defense. We left some points out there in the kicking game today. We'll get back to work with Matt Wright and company. Operationally, it could have been better in some of those things. But we're always going to fall short of perfection. It's good to win, though, in the process. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Mike, a lot of chunk plays, 20-yard plays today, something you really haven't had all year. Any reason for that or difference for that? We're
just working, man. We're going to keep working.
Did anything change with Kazee taking over for Minka at the last minute?
Not schematically, no. I thought all of those guys did a nice job. We got multiple packages and so forth, and it was Kazee primarily, but, Minka's a versatile chess piece, man. It was a lot of people, man. It was Norwood and some others too.
What can you say about the way the running game performed overall, not just the running backs?
Quarterback mobility is a component of it. I thought Kenny did some good things with his legs. I thought the runners ran hard, and I thought we came off the ball as some bigs up front. We ran off the ball, and so we'll just keep building.
Mike, you seemed like there was a good balance between Warren and Harris in terms of your usage and down and distance and that sort of thing. So would that be sort of an unofficial running back committee that you guys might continue?
We've been talking about it. Jalen's been playing well and deserving of more reps, and what transpired today was just reflective of that.
What'd you like from Kenny in the second half, leading those 2 touchdowns?
First and foremost, we took care of the ball. As a young quarterback, man, in competitive circumstances, that's a difficult thing to do. We don't discount his ability to do that. You take care of the ball, you give yourself a chance to win, and you make yourself a tough group to beat. And so it started there for us.
Coach, your thoughts on your pass rush and the pressure on Dalton, even with the return of course, T.J. Watt?
We were more concerned about minimizing Kamara and some of the things that they did with Hill and some of the Wildcat-like things. I thought we did a great job of minimizing those things, and it cleared out the clutter for us to deal with the other things. The rush was sufficient, but I think anything that we did defensively today started first and foremost with working to minimize Kamara and the things that they were doing with 7 at quarterback.
Just was Miles Jack held out because of his knee?
We had him ready to go. He was willing to go. We were going to be prudent about his usage. And just as the game unfolded, we liked the mix of the guys that we had in there. We were getting off on 3rd down. And so conditioning and things of that nature didn't become a factor, and we were able to keep him out of the mix, which was a good thing.
What did you think of Rob Spillane's day specifically?
Rob's a starter-like dude. We feel like we got a pair and a spare there. We got 3 starting inside linebackers, and, he proved that today, but I think he's continually proved that for some time.
Anyone else?
Mike, when you look at the way the team performed today, you said a couple of weeks ago you're going to be staying focused on winning every Sunday's game and everything. When you see the way the team performed today, is this kind of the model for what you want to, the team made progress and won?
That's the job. That is the job. Thank you.
Well, what did you like about Matthew Wright that you wanted to go get him, and maybe you talk about some of the things that
we've had success with him. He left here and had continual success within the league. I think he was 21 or 24 last year in Jayville. He's been successful this year in the league, and so we were really comfortable with that information, not only in terms of what he's done in the National Football League, but what he's done here with us. And so it wasn't a long or significant discussion, not necessary.
Anyone else? All right, we will bring Kenny, TJ.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin. The one thing about this game, it's fairly simple when you look at it. They didn't do anything in the turnover department as far as coughing the ball up. There was 1 fumble by Najee Harris, but Chuks Okorafor recovered it, and only 3 penalties. And New Orleans had a lot of penalties, and 2 of them were significant in 2 of the Steelers scoring drives.
Penalties is the name of the game, and 3rd down is the name of the game. And today, the Saints had 10 penalties for 74 yards. What, the Steelers had 3 for 20 maybe?
3 for, yeah, that's it.
3, yeah, that was it. And so you look at, and then 3rd down, right? The Steelers really won on 3rd down, 9 of 17 on 3rd down, Bob.
Yeah.
That tells the story, right? If you can limit your turnovers and you can convert on 3rd down, you're going to win ball games. You're going to move the chains. I mean, you can hear the Saints were 3 for 12 on 3rd down. They were 25%. That's a huge win for the Steelers defense.
Yeah, it's interesting that Tomlin got a question about how he uses his running backs, because Najee Harris, who had a good game, almost 100 yards, 99 I think at last count I saw, right?
Yeah, 20 for 99.
And then Jalen Warren, every time that guy gets in there, I'm telling you, he plays much bigger than his physical status. When you look at him, he gets balls, he runs hard. As soon as he gets it, he sees a hole, he goes through the hole. And today we saw Najee Harris do a lot more of that today, which is good to see, because he had been kind of hesitant at the line of scrimmage, it seems. We saw both of those today. It's important in conjunction with an offensive line that did a good job in the run game. And I think most offensive linemen will tell you they prefer doing that.
Let's run. You're going to wear down a defense, and you're going to impose your will on them. What happens when you throw the ball 50 times, like Kenny Pickett had been doing on average his first, 4 starts, you're not going to wear down a defense. When you line up and you pin your ears back and you come off the ball, you're going to wear down a defense, and then in the 4th quarter, you can do some of the things that you wanted to do in the first that you can do now because they're a little bit tired, and they're going to lean on you instead of getting on you and getting off you. And so today, I mean, Najee 20 for 99 yards, 5 yards a carry. Then Warren had 9 for 37. They're becoming a good 1-2 punch, right? And you saw when Najee ran the ball, Bob. He ran angry today. He wanted to make a point. He had that nice, 36-yard run. He had a couple runs, 10 plus. Really, really did well today and running hard and fast.
All right, TJ Watt is about to speak to the assembled media. Let's go to Acrisure Stadium.
First day back. TJ, was it everything you hoped for?
Oh, yeah, man, it was fun to be able to play in front of the fans today, to be able to create an awesome atmosphere as a defense, being able to fly around, being able to pin our ears back towards the end there. I mean, that's all you ask for as a defensive rushman, so I had a lot of fun today.
TJ, Miles wasn't able to play a lot, but Rob's played a lot of big moments for you guys. What does he bring to your defense?
Yeah, he's a very versatile player. He can blitz well, he can cover well as well, and he's just a good communicator also. So that's super important, especially when we're at home. Very loud. He did a great job today of just communicating, and he's made some big plays for us.
How fun was that first possession? Got him backed up there, made a couple plays. Crowd was really getting into it.
It's fun, man. When you feel like you can control the crowd and get them involved, I'm always going to try my best because it is a competitive advantage, especially playing at home here when they get loud. It makes it very tough for offenses, but I'm here to make plays and help make a difference in the game, and that's just what I'm going to continue to try to do.
TJ, when did you find out about Minka, and knowing that you had Kazee, did you kind of feel like he was capable of making a play like he made today?
Yeah, I mean, Mink was yesterday when everybody else found out. And as far as Kazee, I mean, we've seen him itching to get back, wanting to get back, and just the amount of preparation that he put in this week. He was one of the big guys about wanting splash, wanting to make plays, and he went out and did it. Super happy for him.
How key are those splash plays, 2 interceptions, the 4th down stop to getting the win and to be in the kind of defense you guys feel like you can be?
It's huge. I mean, we always talk about wanting to create splash here, and we need splash. We need to continue to do it, and it's something that we're always hunting, but it comes with creating an incredible atmosphere, and that's what we had today.
TJ, how did it feel just being back out there?
Felt good. Felt really good. Probably won't feel really good tomorrow, but I felt good today.
Anything else? Did you feel limited in any way?
No, I mean, aside from my legs feeling like wet noodles, that was about it.
TJ, we've asked you before about Alex, but why is it you guys work so well together?
Yeah, I think, I mean, when there's just so much chipping on one side or the other, you can't block everybody up front. I think Cam Heyward's done a great job. Chris Wormley, Larry O has done a phenomenal job as well. So I think it's just to a point where when you're one-dimensional, someone's going to get through. It's just a matter of time. And today, Alex got through quickly and was able to affect the game. And he deserves it. He works his ass off.
TJ, there's so much shuffling going on with this roster, especially defensively. Do you get the sense that this is what we're expected to see in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for, to be able to create the atmosphere like we had today. Hopefully we can get it again next week and just take it one day at a time and go from there.
TJ, I think you said it on Friday about how good the practice week was. How much do you think that led into what we saw here today?
It's huge. I mean, you don't win the game on Sundays. You win it through all the preparation you put in throughout the week, and that's from, 8 a.m. extra meetings to having clean, crisp practices and communication, and that's why it's so important at home to have that communication as a defense because it's so loud in there. But like I said, Spill did a great job today.
All right. TJ, talk about that atmosphere, crowd getting into it a little bit more today. You guys feed off of that? Did you feed off of that coming back today?
100%. I think they were wild, going crazy, and like I said, I hope we can keep that up because I just want them to know how big of an advantage it really is for us as a defense. I mean, it makes life hell for offenses, and we're going to continue to try to make plays to feed off of them.
Started with your intro, didn't it?
Yeah, I might not have gotten as high this time, but it was fun. I mean, those moments, it's hard when you're in the actual moment to feel. I mean, it's just full body chills, and it's like you wish you could freeze time for just 1 second while you're looking around and people are going crazy, but just super happy more than anything to get the win today.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, TJ. Yep.
All right, that's TJ Watt, and you saw him doing things out there. And again, the stat line wasn't all that TJ Watt-like, 4 tackles, but the bottom line with him is that he had such a ripple effect on everybody else. Alex Highsmith has more room. Cam Heyward has more room. Ogunjobi. The guys in the secondary are thankful to have more pressure there, so they get less time to have to deal with coverage. All of it starts with TJ Watt, and I thought, given the fact that he had missed all this time, he looked very, very good. Your thoughts about number 90?
He did look good. I love the play where he took on the tight end and he hit him and shed and came in and made the play. I mean, where it started was, again, they talked about coming out of the tunnel, but the first 2 plays of the game, he swam inside on the tight end, made a tackle. The next play came in was an assisted tackle. I mean, he's from the very first snap had an impact on this game. Now, I think as week goes on, his arm will get stronger and stronger and stronger. You saw today where a couple times where he was doing things he didn't reach with his left arm because of that pec. I don't know if it's just habit or protecting, but he did not show it when he was engaged with the blockers and engaged with the Saints.
Yeah, Derek Watt, his brother, came through with a big first down also on a run that they needed at the time, and so it was a good day for the Watt family, and that translates into a good day for the Steelers who win 20-10. And another thing when you look about it, the Renegade song played right before an interception. Damonte Kazee then said, okay, you're going to play that song, I'm going to make a play for you, and he did. That interception really turned things around because the Steelers had missed a couple of field goals along the way that could have made this 16-19-10. Instead it was stuck on 13-10, and New Orleans had a chance. But that interception turned everything around. They turned it into a touchdown, and boom.
And it was huge, right? I mean, Landry had an opportunity to catch that ball. He short-armed it. If he would have gone out and really gone after it, I think he would have caught that. But he really short-armed that ball. It went up in the air, and Kazee was right there to make the catch. And he looked fast out there, Bob. I mean, Kazee looked really fast, a speed that we hadn't seen. Even with Minkah, I thought he looked much quicker to the ball. I mean, he had that one hit on the receiver, on Olavi, I think it was, and he got a personal foul. But other than that, I thought that he was really productive and positive for this defense.
Yeah, real quick, since you brought that play up, that's going to be called just because the NFL is. But
every time.
When you look at it, back in your day, that may not have been called. It would have been a good hit. It would have been something.
That was a beautiful play when I played, right? When I played, it was let's take some football life out of this guy, right? And he won't want to do that again. He's going to short arm it. And but nowadays the game's a little different. But back then, that's what you would see something like Ryan Clark doing that, right? You would see something like Chris Hope doing that, and Troy, exactly what Kazee did. But they're trying to get that out of the game.
Yeah, but Kazee, even though he got penalized, he came up with a smile on his face because that's football, and that's what Mike Tomlin likes to see. All right, the Steelers win today, 20-10 to get to 3-6. They got Cincinnati coming up next. They've already beaten them once. Can they do it again next Sunday? By the way, that's switched now to its 425 KDKA, so make sure you mark that down. We'll be back with more analysis, including an interview with Najee Harris. That's next.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, we're back. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you, and our number one Cochran player of the game goes to Najee Harris. First time we've been able to do that this year. 20 carries, 99 yards with a long of 36. That's a good average. 36 was big, and it showed what he's capable of because he shed a blocker or a tackler, and then he ended up going all the way down the sideline where he got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. That's where we got accustomed to seeing Najee running like last year, was running over people, running around people, and we weren't seeing that this year. But coming off a bye week, he had some time to get his legs underneath him, to watch some film, and he was running downhill and running angry.
All right. Well, the anger was good for the Steelers. Let's go inside the locker room and find out what's going on with Najee Harris right now.
Fix it. What I could do really to help it out. And today it showed up.
Now, Canada said you were in for a breakout type of game. You feel like you delivered?
Today, yeah. I mean, we need more of it, especially coming from me. Me being the type of guy on the team, I got to provide more like that. We just got to build off after this win.
Did you also feel like your offensive line took good steps forward today?
Yeah, man, the offensive line's always taking good steps. It's like I said, it's just me. I got to do better. Offensive line played their ass off, you know what I mean? But they do that every week, especially in practice too. I think the way we did in practice this week, moving forward to this game, we changed a couple things and we're finishing a lot more. But it all starts with them. So the line did the best probably so far this year.
How good did the difference for you? What was the biggest thing that you felt like you wanted to fix going into this game?
Me and the coaches, we talked, not something I want to say on film, but on camera. But we had a conversation about some stuff where they think that me helping out the O-line could help out a lot more, and I took that into consideration practicing throughout the week.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot that you guys are going to want to work on, but just how good did it feel to come out of the bye week to get this win and to kind of say, hey, we can turn the page here?
Yeah, man. So like I said, that bye week we talked about a lot of stuff that's had to do outside of football too, that can help us out on the field. I said that before on Friday, I think it was. But we're taking a different approach here, and how to do things around the building, around just rebuilding the culture in a way. We got to change a lot of things. We're still building, but we're going towards the right direction.
Certainly the right direction is 99 yards the way they did, and they got a couple of ground touchdowns, not by running backs. It was Kenny Pickett with a 1-yarder, and then also George Pickens. You don't see many of those plays. A quick hitter.
Yeah, it was nice.
He barely got in, but he got in for his first rushing touchdown. So a good day in the run game. So they're going to definitely need that. Let's talk about Najee Harris. Aside from that 136-yarder, what else did you like about his game?
Well, not just that run. I mean, it seemed he had an 11-yard run a couple times. And that's what you wanted from him. And you see him running, getting the hard yardage. Even when he had 3 or 4 yards, he was turning his feet. He was driving through people. He was moving the pile. And you understand what that does to a defense when you are able to physically pound on people. Then it creates a mentality in your offensive line because they get excited. They see the 11-yard runs. They see the 36-yard runs. So they're inspired. Let me tell you something. That lifts everybody. An offensive line, when you see your running back getting -2 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards, -1 yards, you're down. You never get spirited. And when you get these longer runs, you're playing with high energy, and then it makes it harder for a defense now when they're worn down to get pass rush and get pressure on the quarterback, for them to pursue, to take on more blockers. It just really rallies your team and lifts your team to take over the game late in the game.
I think we really saw that in the second half.
Absolutely.
Because New Orleans' defense at that point was a little bit spent.
Yeah.
Because they were on the field an awful lot in that game. Even though the long drives resulted in missed field goals, a couple, they still had long enough drives where they scored at the end of it. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that that defense was on the field quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And they had to deal with a run game that was actually very good for the Pittsburgh Steelers today. So the Steelers now move to 3-6. New Orleans, I will preface it by saying it's not a very good football team right now.
That's a below-the-line team.
Yeah, that's not a good team. But they took advantage of a below-the-line team.
You have to win those games. You know, and the Steelers early in the season, the first 8 weeks, lost against a couple teams that were like that, below-the-line teams. And today, they won that game, and this is going to build momentum. It's going to increase their confidence. Now they got Cincinnati coming in next week. Then they got Indianapolis games. There's 2 winnable games in a row. You know, they could be sitting close and working their way in. Let's see if the Ravens stumble or they keep going. They could work their way, Bob, back into the division. And you never know what can happen down over the next 8 games.
Well, listen, the last time the Bengals saw the Steelers, they saw T.J. Watt doing what he's doing. They had 7 sacks, 5 forced turnovers of Joe Burrow. And that offensive line in Cincinnati has not improved. If anything, they're allowing more sacks. So they know that now with T.J. Watt back, and you know, I don't know if Minka's situation will allow him to be back next week. Likely not. Have you ever had an appendicitis?
I haven't.
Okay. You know players have had it though, right?
I know players, yeah, and it's a recovery.
It
I mean, it depends. It all depends. Every person's different, right? But I think you have a surgery to get. You know, it all depends on how quickly your body comes forward and you can get ready to play. I think Minka he's an elite athlete. And so I think he can recover very fast, and hopefully he'll be out soon. Maybe next Sunday, maybe the following Sunday.
Yeah, whatever the case, though, the Bengals are going to have their hands full with the Steelers' defense the way they're playing right now. They're getting a lot of performances. One guy did not show up in the stat sheet is Devin Bush. You've been riding him pretty hard. Only 3 tackles today, and I thought because Miles Jack did not play, he was dressed, he did not play, that he would be more active there, and it simply was not the case. Cam Heyward, captain of the defense, is about to speak over at Acrisure Stadium, so let's take you there for a listen in.
Cam, you guys got turnover, interception, stop on downs, interception in that second half. How important was it for the defense to kind of put it away once you got the lead back?
Yeah, you know, giving up the touchdown in the first half was, we were a little bit annoyed with ourselves about that. But in the second half, I thought we did a good job of either getting off the field by turnover or just, you know, those 4th down stops were huge.
Cam, how important was it just to get a win? Stop you slide.
Very, very important. You know, we've had a long time to think about our last loss, especially with the bye week. But I think it was just important to go out there and play football. You know, the sick taste after that last loss, and then just having to deal with it for the past 2 weeks is, you know, you're raring to go and ready to get it out of there.
Cam, you listed after that last game a lot of areas you'd like to see growth from the defense. Where did you see the most growth from last week to this one?
I thought the run defense was really good. You know, I think just everybody playing assignment football. Even there was one play, TJ took the assignment of, you know, taking Taysom Hill out of the play. But with that, you know, getting the ball out of his hands, and I think we gave up a 10-yard run, but you could see the execution there. So the execution I just thought picked up in the run defense, and then that led to the sacks, a couple of sacks, and the turnovers as well.
The 3rd and 1 and the 4th and 1 stops. You and 99 had the 3rd down stop. Can you tell us anything behind the scenes, anything interesting in those 2 plays?
You know, it was funny. I was kind of annoyed we called it the timeout because I thought we were going to get the stop before that. You know, and, you know, most of those times when you see the quarterback getting underneath, you know it's a sneak. And, you know, it's mano a mano. Who gets lower in your pad level, who turns their feet, making sure there's a big pile up in the middle, and then making sure, you know, on the 3rd and 1 was actually the run to Kamara. And, you know, Kamara's in the game. You're either thinking he's getting out quick or they're giving him the ball somehow. And then on the 4th and 1, it's just about making sure there's a pile and then making sure our linebackers can fill over top.
What caused that pile? Who was in the middle of that pile?
Me and Larry.
That was 3rd down too. You guys made the tackle.
Yeah.
Why did you said you thought you were going to stop him there? Why?
I think just awareness and understanding what they were going to run. I felt good about the call, and then we called the timeout, and I don't think they were ready for it. And so, knowing where the ball was going to be, but we stayed ready and got off the field.
Is there a different energy today with TJ out there?
I don't think it's just TJ. I think TJ and Kazee, they both play with great energy. I think just having more of our defenders back. I know we lost Minka right before the game, but it's a breath of fresh air to have them back. Getting guys like Larry and Miles healthy were huge, and the more guys we can have to the party, the more we're going to be successful going forward.
TJ was crediting Rob for his communication out there. How valuable was he in this game and other things that he's done in other games, big plays?
We put a lot of stress on our linebackers, including me. I'm the first to talk about my linebackers and get in their face and let them know what I need, because communication from that position is critical. And I thought they did a great job. Rob, Devin, Miles, and just reverberating those calls, because we all need them. And when our crowd is loud like that, they got to be loud as well.
Cam, every defense wants the splash plays, and today those came for you on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
How connected is that to you guys winning up front, stopping the run, getting them behind the chains, and getting some pass rush too?
I think first it starts with stopping the run. When you can make a team one-dimensional and they have to pass the ball and go down the field, is huge. And then our back end, being opportunistic. Even the Levi play, you look at it, he had to go and take it from him. And when you do that, it makes you successful. So kudos to that. But, it's just about playing good team defense. Everybody just working hand in hand and being complementary.
Cam, those were the plays the guys in the back end weren't making. Philadelphia, Miami, Hunt, but that was an example of making. What's that do when they make the plays for you guys?
It's teach state. It's something you can continue to grow on and say, hey, when we make these plays, we're a much better defense.
When did you know Minka wasn't going to play? It was hurt. Was he hurt in practice?
Saturday before the game. I mean, after walkthrough, I just saw something on my phone. And I texted him, and he was like, yeah, I had to get surgery. We saw him during the walkthrough, and, not thinking anything. Minka's just, Minka's grumpy all the time. So you're not thinking anything of it. But, after seeing it come across my phone and, checking in on him, Mike T even explained to us, he was like, first thing first, you got to take care of the player. And, we got to make sure we take care of our business while Minka's out.
So it's a testament to the defense, a little bit of what the offense was able to do today and start sustaining drives, and you guys staying fresh?
Yeah, I think the best defense is a defense on the sideline. And when the offense can sustain drives and, can continue to keep pounding them, it's huge. We love seeing their defenders tired and, kind of annoyed that they got to keep going out there. I will be the happiest guy if I only have to play 20 snaps in a game. It hasn't happened yet, but looking forward to it.
You mentioned Kazee and the energy he brings. In terms of having a veteran like that to fill in for Minka at the last second like that, what's that do for this defense?
It does wonders. He's a veteran guy, plays with a chip on his shoulder. If you've been in our locker room, Kazee's been one of the louder guys this week. I think him and Miles were about to fight every day in a playful way. But, Kazee just, he's small in stature but big with his voice. And, his play, he plays big as well. So having a guy like that being able to put out there when a guy like Mink's down was very huge.
All right, thanks, Cam.
Thank you.
All right, Cam Heyward, very proud of his defense. Another guy who came up with a play was Levi Wallace. He wrestled one away late in the game when Andy Dalton was looking down the field, and he did. He just won the ball.
And that's what they haven't been able to do throughout the first part of the season was go up and get the ball. How many times were defensive backs for the Steelers there in position and not making plays? And today, Levi Wallace made that play. And that could have been a big pass because the Saints showed that they were catching those deep balls without receivers on them or DBs on them. Today, Levi Wallace went up, snatched that out, and took it away. And that was an interception for the Steelers, big in the fourth quarter.
All right, big in the game was Kenny Pickett. He's speaking right now live. Let's take you there.
Obviously want to hit a lot more than we did. The one to Damonte was big, but we need a lot more than that. But I thought, guys played really hard today. It feels good to be up here after a win.
In terms of shot taking, it looked like there was at least a couple of plays where you threw it right away, almost like you decided before the snap. Slanted Damonte, I think, was one of those. Did you have more of that today where you just decided and made it happen as opposed to letting it unfold?
It's really just trusting what I see, and I think we had a lot more in-breakers today with what they were showing and what they were giving us, and I think we did a good job of hitting those and giving guys opportunities to have some more run after catch, and that's something that we want to continue to improve on.
Kenny, what do you think keyed the ground game today?
The key?
Yeah.
O-line, man. The O-line was, unbelievable, and those guys stuck with it. They worked hard on the bye week and obviously this week getting prepared for it, and then Najee and Jalen did what they do best, and, we have two really talented backs. And, we kind of leaned on those guys, and I thought we had really good balance today. They did a great job in the pass game as well. So, in all phases, I thought, we took a step in the right direction today.
How much easier does that make your job as quarterback when the running game's going like that?
It's awesome. It's awesome. It adds more elements. Third and shorts, you can kind of lean on those guys to get it, extend drives, extend plays. So really happy and proud of the way those guys played, by both of them. Great job.
Kenny, that was the most 20-yard plays you've had this year, chunk plays. What was the difference? What was working?
I think, stuff that we worked on and we saw what they were giving us and went off that and just getting it to our guys and letting them make plays. And we have talent all over the place, and, it's my job to distribute the football and get it to those guys, and then they take care of the rest. So I think, like I said, it was a step in the right direction, not where we need to be or where we want to be, but it's a good start.
Najee kind of downplayed the effect for him personally of that early 36-yard run that he had. But what did that do for you guys as an offense to just kind of give you energy early in the game?
Yeah, it gave us that spark early in the game. We jumped up on a lead, and wish we could have put this one away a lot earlier. But I think that play really sparked the offense, and we were getting behind Najee, and we felt great with how he's been practicing and everything. And he came to this game with a lot of confidence, and it showed. And the O-line did a great job as well. So I think they complemented each other well.
You're pretty far downfield in that play. You're trying to get a block way down there.
I was trying, man. When I thought he was going to get tackled, and I saw him pop up, I was like, damn, he might be gone. So I got to go get a block. He almost made it, but yeah, it was an awesome play.
What did you see out there that allowed you to run as many times as you did?
I think there were some times we got covered up. The O-line did a great job, and if I see a seam, I feel like I can really utilize my legs. To move the chains and get positive yardage. And I think it's something that, I can continue to do and build on top of today.
Kenny, how good did this win feel for you guys as a collective and you personally too?
Yeah, it feels awesome. It feels awesome. You put your whole life into this. So, coming out with a win feels awesome. Definitely, enjoy the 24 hours, then it's on to next week. But it's something that we definitely needed.
Is this one different for you, though, because you get to start?
All right, Kenny Pickett after the game, and you have to really applaud his ability to, even when the first half he didn't have his best stuff, he still was competing. He still did things. Second half, they get a little momentum going, and he really kind of took control of the game. And there was a lot of what the one, I think it was Mike Pursuta who asked him about quick slants.
Yeah.
And he's making up his mind quickly, put it right in the window that he had to put it in. And that's just a confidence thing. I think more and more you see him in games, the more you'll see that.
And it's playing in rhythm, right? And anticipating and timing that the receiver is going to be open. And that's just trust. And he'll gain more and more trust as games go on. But I think that Kenny's really mentally resilient. He's very resolute because he did struggle in the first half, came back in the second half. The Steelers dominated that second half, and he made some big throws to move the chains, to put the Steelers in situations for third and short. And so you got to give a lot to Kenny to make sure that he was staying focused and not letting the first half of this game bring him down and not letting him go out there and compete and play at a good level.
And he was very, very complimentary of Najee Harris, that 36-yard run. He called it a spark that their offense had been looking for. The fact that he looked like he was going to be tackled at about 10 yards in, broke the tackle, turned it into a 36-yard run. Well, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, more analysis, more interviews from the locker room. We'll also look ahead, and Bill Cowher had some interesting things to say. Stick around for that. That's all coming up as we continue right here on your neighborhood Ford store, Steelers Extra Point.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
We continue after the Steeler win today to get them at 3 wins, 6 losses. Here are your JP Roofing final stats. To me, the bottom 2 stand out to me. No turnovers and a lot of possession.
There's a lot of things that stand out to me here, Bob, but I'll tell you, it is the turnovers, right? The Saints coming into this game were the worst in the NFL in terms of turnover ratio. Again, adding 2 more to that, they're minus 12 for the season. But what stands out to me is 217 yards rushing. That's why you're seeing that time of possession the way it is. The Steelers pounding the football, imposing their will on the Saints, and it came through in the fourth quarter. That's why they were able to sustain that lead throughout that second half.
No question about it, and one of the main reasons was the running game. Najee Harris plus also Jalen Warren, who contributed big time. Here's Jalen after the game.
I mean, we huddled up, got that play. You know, we had that game plan for all week, so just went out and executed it, trusted my blocks.
When you hurdle somebody like that, is that just pure instinct, or?
Yeah, I mean, I seen blocks, and I just see one dude, and I'm thinking in my head while I'm running, like, what am I going to do? I don't have much space to make a move. And he went down, and my body just jumped. So went with it, you know.
Is that something you see Najee do? Just kind of.
Yeah, I actually went to Najee. I was like, did I look like you, bro? Yeah, I was trying to be on my Najee right now.
How good was it to get the run game going again?
It was good. I feel like, you know, when we establish it, opens a lot of things for the offense to run. You know, they got to defend the run and the pass game. It felt good.
Yeah, it certainly felt good for the entire team, especially for those guys. But let's talk about Jalen Warren, because although he only carried the ball 9 times, 37 yards, that's 4.1. But you really noticed him in the passing game. He got a couple of those well-designed plays, and then they look for yards after catch. And, boy, he provided plenty today, 40 yards in receiving.
He absolutely did. And, you know, they're a good 1-2 punch, Bob. You look at when he gets the ball in the passing game, he's really quick to get to the edge. And I think his speed is deceptive, and these linebackers don't really see how quick he is and how fast he is to get around the corner. I mean, Demario Davis today struggled on that one when Jalen Warren went down the sideline for 20-plus yards. And so you're seeing this relationship, this division of labor between Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You're going to see this 1-2 punch, and you're going to see defenders struggle to be able to deal with that because Najee is powerful. He's going to run over you, and Jalen Warren's going to give you a little shake, put that foot in the ground, and go. It's difficult for a defense to stop a 1-2 punch like that.
Remember last year, Najee wanted the ball all the time.
All the time.
This year, he said, I still want to be they brought in somebody else. I think in the long term, it will help both. It'll help Najee Harris as well.
It'll extend his career as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Very important. All right, defensively, Levi Wallace, we talked about him earlier. He made a big play as he wrestled one away from a New Orleans receiver. That was a big interception that kind of wrapped up the game. Let's hear what he had to say after the game.
From when he first walked into the locker room, and so I'm glad that he's back and healthy and able to display that today.
Is this what more morale expect from this defense?
I think the expectation is to go out and play your best each and every week, and we got to kind of build on that from here moving forward. And so, good team win. You know, we did a good job. We still got some things to clean up, but kind of move on that and build from that.
What should help you guys? I'm sure you're happy you guys have a 90 count there.
I mean, 90 brings a lot of juice and energy to the team. But it was all of us, you know, just buying in with the leaders, especially in the DB room. The guys who've been here, TE, Mink, you know, just knowing that the season's not over. You know what I mean? We build 1 week at a time and kind of go from there. And so we leaned on their leadership, and we went out there and fought.
Did you view this as a new season, the second half? Is that kind of how the approach was?
I didn't. The season's a season. You know, we came off the bye, you know, and we wanted to get that taste out of our mouth from the week before. And so we went out here and did our best and executed in the second half a lot better than we did in the first half. And so I think we're really happy about that performance.
Levi, your defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, he was emphasizing to us, guys have been in position to make plays on the ball, just got to make it. Asking you show receivers the play you made. How do you finish those kind of plays? What's the key?
Just tracking the ball, having confidence in myself. Like I said, I kind of took a risk pressing it, you know, with that much time in the game, but I kind of expected to go ball. And so I went up and made a play on it, and things turned out the way it did.
Yeah, and that was big at the time. Both of those interceptions were in the second half. That's what changed the flow of this game. And the Steelers took advantage of the first one as well by Damonte Kazee, who really is an emotional player. And, boy, you know, go back to the preseason. Mike Tomlin was high on him and said he's going to give us a dimension that we don't have. Next thing you know, he's out. got an injury. He's gone for all these weeks, and now he's back same day, TJ Watt. And interceptions were big today, both of them.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Steelers play when Minka comes back, right? And you can put Minka on the field and Terrell Edmonds, who I think is having his best year of his career, and then Kazee in the game. Is that going to take Devin Bush off the field? Are they going to be able to put Kazee up there and let him cover the back out of the backfield and maybe have more of an impact in this game? So it's going to be interesting to see how those things play out in the second half of the season, but it's great to have options when everything seems so dire the first eight weeks of the season. Now, I know it's only one win, but this one win really shows who the Steelers can become with a healthy TJ Watt, with a healthy KZ, and others that are coming in the cavalry.
Yeah, it's good to see defensive backs hang on to balls and wrestle balls away. In the Philadelphia game, how many were there? Four that were not secured, and they could have changed the direction of the game. Guys are in position, but when you're in the position, you got to make the play, and they did. All right, George Pickens got his first rushing touchdown in this game. Not all that much activity in the pass game, although he did make some big plays. But it's good to see George Pickens more involved in this offense, and you knew when they traded Chase Claypool, it would be him, it would be Freiermuth. Those guys are going to get more opportunities. George Pickens after the game.
I've always said, like, in the interviews, we always been like 17, 20. You know what I mean? We always been an inch there, so it's always been there. That's kind of what I was saying in the last interviews. Like, it's all about timing. Not today, timing perfect. Not everybody, you see what I mean? So it's all about how stuff delivered, you know what I mean, how it come about.
Sorry if you've already been asked this, but how did it feel to
It felt good. I ain't gonna lie, I feel good just for everybody. I honestly feel good for other people. You know me, like, I just play, so I kind of feel good about everybody. Social media team, everybody, bro. Like, just because, you know, we all in the same building. So, yeah.
George, did today almost feel like the start of the new season for you guys?
I wouldn't say start a new season because we did play the Bengals first game, so that did happen. So, like, I wouldn't say a new season, but, like, I feel like we just, you know, guys just coming together, and based off today, we can now see. See, at first it was all question mark. We don't know what's going to happen. But now that we got a win, I feel like we can go back to the drawing board and now see a little different things. Basically what other teams been doing. You know, when they win, they go back to the drawing board. Oh, this is what we need to do. Oh, we can switch it up, run a different offense. You know what I mean? So, like, just things that we know we can go back and look at now.
Almost like everyone buying in, kind of?
Yeah. Everybody was always probably bought in, you know what I mean? Because we was always, you know, short. It wasn't never like a real 40 to zip or some high school type shit, you know what I mean? It's always been like a close game, so everybody always been locked in. It's just timing. When you go on a team and you coming up short, it ain't really, it sucks, but it ain't nothing you can do. It's just the perfect time when everything match up. Today, one of them days.
It was one of those days. We also saw his speed. You know, he's deceptively fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't look at him and think he's going to win many of those races, but man, he's got those long strides.
When he had that jet sweep coming off from offensive right to left, I think, again, the linebackers underestimated his speed, and he got through there. I think he went up there for 20-plus yards, again, on that jet sweep. And so there's quite a few rookie receivers, running backs, quarterback. There's a good nucleus here that if they grow and develop could be really a good nucleus of players moving forward for years and years to come. They just got to continue to develop and get better.
No question about that, but he's going to be one on that list along with Pat Freiermuth, who I thought made some really nice one-hand catch today, and others. Let's shift back to the defensive side of the ball. That's where Chris is most comfortable. Alex Highsmith.
I'm comfortable everywhere. Come on.
You're really comfortable on the defensive side of the ball. And Alex Highsmith had a strip sack. He also had 2 more sacks today. No coincidence. His numbers pick up, as do most people, when TJ Watt is back. Here's number 56.
Kind of a setup move, so I try to work speed, and then usually spin inside. It's something that I can't really, do right off the gate, because if I do, he's going to be waiting on it, and so that's something that I got to do. I got to get him to work. I got to work speed, and get him to open his hips, and so that's what I did.
Different energy with 90 out there.
It's nice out there. Like I said, the crowd was into it. Just getting him into it. First couple plays of the game, he was in the backfield making plays, and so making his presence felt immediately. So, a guy like him, it's awesome having him back. So, we went out there, and we weren't perfect today, but we could always be better.
What's it do for your defense to have a guy like Kazee available?
Yeah.
I mean, Minka goes down yesterday. Mm-hmm. You guys hadn't planned on that, obviously, and he's able to step in and come out and play.
It's the next man up mentality. Coach Tomlin always says the standard is the standard. So we know the type of player that Kazee is. When he went up before he got hurt in the preseason, he was balling. He's been in the league for a while, so he's a veteran guy, so he knows what he's doing. And so we had the utmost confidence in him being back there. And, play came his way today, and he was able to make it.
How much does Watt free you up, him being out there?
It's awesome having a guy like that out there. He just brings so much energy and stuff to the defense, and so it's awesome having him back out there. Like I said, his presence was felt immediately. When he came to the game, first couple plays out there making TFLs and stuff like that. So it's awesome to have him back.
Is this the defense we should expect to see, or you guys were hoping to kind of see all
Absolutely.
season?
Absolutely. Like I said, we can be a lot better. Still 10 points on the board, so we're not perfect until there's no points on the board. And so, we can always continue to get better, and so we just can't get satisfied with this game. We got to keep getting better and better every week.
We talk a lot about the interceptions and the sacks and the pressures and all that stuff, but how about this? We spent talking our first half of the show about the Steeler run game. New Orleans, 15 carries, 29 yards, 1.9, and Alvin Kamara, always dangerous, just 8 carries for 26 yards. The Steelers, which had been gouged at times this season in the run game, that was a good response, Chris. They really clamped down the New Orleans run game.
But again, the Saints have one of the most exciting running backs in the NFL in Alvin Kamara, and you get the ball 8 times. I mean, I would be feeding that guy the ball 25 to 30 times in the game. Like we were saying a couple weeks ago, when you give the ball to Najee, you can't get into a rhythm when you're that kind of running back or a skilled player on the offense, only getting the ball 8 times throughout a 60-minute game. And so I think that was a mismanagement, miscalling by the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, Dennis Allen's taking some heat about that one. It's typical of just around every coach in the NFL. There are days you're going to get criticized for things. Alex Highsmith, back to him, though. He was a third-round pick, and a lot of people wondered what the Steelers were doing with him in the 3rd round. They had other options. They chose to go to him out of Carolina or Charlotte. And, boy, he's really developed. I mean, you can tell last year he arrived on the scene, and he seems to be getting better, not just with the making a swim move from the outside, but just bullying tackles.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think Alex Highsmith is on the cusp of being great, right? If you remember when T.J. Watt was young, he would come out and he'd have 3 sacks games, and he would have a 2-sack game, and then he wouldn't have sacks for 3 or 4 games, and he'd come out and have another 2-sack game. And then as he evolved and as a player, he started to be more consistent, and that's when he turned into the MVP-type player that he is now. Alex Highsmith will come out and he'll have a 3-sack game. Today he had a 2-sack game, and then he may go quiet for a couple games. He's still developing. He's still young, and I see him having a bright future, and he is, I believe, he is benefiting today because of T.J. Watt. And you look at it, what did they do for T.J. Watt? They had a back coming on chip. They put a tight end to his side to widen him out and to slow him down on his rush, so he has to go through the tight end on the tight end's way out for a pass route. And then, now you don't have the tight end to Alex's side. Now you don't have a back coming up and chipping Alex Highsmith. He's benefiting from that tightness to the offensive tackle, because the closer you are to him, the quicker you can make a move, and he can get up on the quarterback. And that has transpired today, Bob. And I think you'll continue to see that. He will benefit from T.J. Watt being in the lineup.
One thing we know, Andy Dalton doesn't like playing against Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh or anywhere else for that matter. We came into this game and we showed you his career numbers against the Steelers. They were not good. He had lost a lot of games in a row, and that continued today. So you add to it what we saw at the beginning of this, which was total domination by the Steelers.
Yep.
Coming into the game, 16 starts. You see his record.
Look at that.
Only 58% completion. How about 14 interceptions? And those are all lower than his career average. He's better than that, but against the Steelers, they have shut down the Red Rifle.
Yeah, the Red Rifle, I like that. But you know what, look, Andy Dalton's been a good quarterback for a long time, and here at Heinz Field and Steelers in general, he struggled. He made some great throws today, Bob.
He did.
Those interceptions, the one I have to put on Jarvis Landry, that was not Andy Dalton's fault. I mean, he short-armed that ball. He should have gone after it, Jarvis Landry. That was the Kazee interception. And Levi Wallace, he just made a heck of a play there, a play that the Steelers weren't making in the first half of the season.
We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll have more from the locker room. We have your calls coming up. We'll also take a look down the road at what's next up for the Steelers and a Bill Cowher comment that is very interesting. It is out there, and people are talking about it in a viral way. 20-10 Steelers win. They're 3-6. Cincinnati comes to town next week. We'll continue in a moment.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, we continue on what is a nice afternoon for football. You see the lights on still at Acrisure Stadium as the Steelers come away with a 20-10 win, 10 fourth-quarter points after a scoreless third, although the Steelers really dominated the entire second half, offensively and defensively. And one of the bigger plays was provided by Damonte Kazee, who came into this game, made a big hit early in the game. He got penalized for it, but it set a tone. And then later he came up with an interception to kind of turn this game around. He spoke afterwards in the locker room.
So I enjoyed it all.
How did it feel being back out there?
I felt good. Thanks to this boy right here. Thanks to him.
He just gave it to you, didn't he?
Yeah, he just gave it to me. He didn't tell me he was, being injured or nothing. Just out the blue. So thank him, thank God at the end of the day, just get me back on that football field. So very blessed.
What kind of adjustments did it take for you guys going from Pickens to be like all you three, you Minka and Terrell, and then it's you and Terrell out there?
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody works the same thing at practice. So I think we had it situated as soon as Mink went down. So
how nice was it to have TJ back out there today?
It was nice. I mean, this is my first time playing with him today. So
what does he bring?
Everything. You saw that crowd when he walked out? It was beautiful, man.
Tomlin came to the sideline and put I think his arm around you, but he said something to you after that interception. What was that?
I don't remember, honestly. I really don't remember.
What was going through your mind when obviously that play happened and then the ensuing moments afterward?
Man, it was just a great play by Levi. Tipping the ball, work on tips and overthrows, so got to get those at the end of the day.
You guys got a pick, a 4-down stop, and a pick after you got the lead back. It's kind of the determination.
We got to finish. Finish is the key. Can't be happy over this game. Got to be more consistent in our game. So everybody going to work on where everybody need to work on, be more consistent. Next week, new week. So got to move on.
You got the Steelers made us concerted effort.
All right, Damonte Kazee with a big play, and you can see what it does now. The Steelers moved into a tie. The Browns got shellacked by the Dolphins today down in Miami, so they're 3-6 together. The Bengals are 5-4. The Ravens are 6-3. And keep in mind, the Steelers do have a couple of games against the Ravens yet, and one more coming up next week against the Bengals. So, bottom line is they got to keep making plays like this. Just your thoughts about Kazee and just the energy he brought. The fact that hit, again, was penalized, and a lot of people thought it shouldn't have been, but it's the right call in today's culture in the NFL. They're going to call that, but at the same time, I think it delivered a little message too.
I think you're right, Bob. I mean, look at it. He brought some more speed to that defense, and he seemed to me like he was moving at different speed than everybody else. I'm not saying that he was, out of this world, but he looked fast out there. That hit did set a tone. You want to set a physical tone, and it seems like right now in the NFL, a lot of these hits, I see it a lot of times, Bob. They're not even taking the running back or the receiver to the ground. They're blowing the whistle. So that was kind of nice, even though it was a penalty, and lets those receivers know, hey, man, you better watch out. You better make sure if you're going to catch that ball, you're going to get hit. And that, again, wears on receivers because they don't like to get hit.
No, they don't. And that's what sets the tone. If you do it enough, they'll, maybe get, like you said, alligator arms.
I'm telling you, Jarvis Landry was kind of like he didn't go up for the ball. He's kind of, you watch his elbow still bent.
And a tip, and boom, interception.
And those two interceptions were game changers because they had those two turnovers and a fourth down that Saints tried to convert, they didn't convert. Those are three big drives in that second half that gave the Steelers a huge advantage in the time of possession and in the point scoring.
Now it's time for your neighborhood Ford store road ahead. Let's take a look at it because it begins next week. We have the game now. It was flecked out a Sunday night, so it's 4:25 on KDKA. So Chris and I will be on afterwards on Pittsburgh CW until 9. But then at Indy, at Atlanta, Baltimore at Carolina. Now I see winnable games here. We're going to get into Jeff Saturday in a minute at Indianapolis, but I look at those games. Those are all very beatable teams and teams that have flaws just like the Steelers do at times.
I look at that right now. They're all winnable games, and they have Baltimore at home, Cincinnati at home. Those are big ones, and then the Colts aren't very good. They're winning today. Right now they're up early in the game, and Atlanta's hot and cold, a mixed bag. Carolina. Those are all winnable games to me, Bob, and I think the Steelers, their confidence is high. Let's see if they can ride that wave on to a couple more victories.
Steelers, by the way, have beaten Baltimore 4 straight times. They match up well against them, and as you know, they've already beaten Cincinnati this year in the opener, and with T.J. Watt back, Joe Burrow and company are going to have their hands full. And again, Jamar Chase is not with that team, and that's a big loss for an offense that relies on number one. All right, you saw Jeff Saturday's name on the Indianapolis headlines this week. The Steelers have the Colts coming up in 2 weeks. They'll play there on a Monday night. Indianapolis, for the record, has started the Jeff Saturday era today. They're leading 10-0 over the Raiders. But Bill Cowher today on the NFL Today CBS, right before the game, had some very strong words about this hiring. Check it out.
You know, guys, I played in the National Football League for 5 years. I went on to become an assistant coach, right from playing the coach, and I was assistant coach for 7 years. Blessed to be able to go to Pittsburgh and be a head coach at the age of 34 for 15 years. I'm speaking on behalf of the coaching profession. I know for a fact that Jeff Saturday was offered an opportunity to become an assistant coach with the Indianapolis Colts multiple times in the last 4 years. He declined, citing that he had a TV job and wanted to spend more time with his family. I get it.
That's fair.
I get it. Coaching is about commitment and it's about sacrifice. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. That being said, Jeff Saturday has taken a position this year as a consultant for the Indianapolis Colts. And he's talked to them weekly from his home in Atlanta. Wow. Now to find out on Monday, in that short period of time, he's now the head coach of the new Indianapolis Colts, overseeing a staff that he chose not to choose.
Not to join.
Because of a lifestyle. Jeff Saturday talked about in his first press conference the fact that he's going to use his second half as an opportunity to build his resume, to see whether or not he can coach in the future. I say to that, what about the assistants on the staff right now? The guys that were there in training camp, the guys that were there early in the morning and late at night, the guys that have gone through the first 6 weeks in that building, guys like Gus Bradley, Scotty Montgomery, John Fox. Don't they deserve the opportunity for an owner to hire a coach who's never been an assistant at the college level or the pro level and overseeing a lot of candidates that are qualified for that job, as we see in Steve Wilkes, an opportunity to build a resume? It's a disgrace to the coaching profession. And regardless how this thing plays out, what happened in Indianapolis is a travesty.
Oh, man, you don't see the jaw coming out anymore. At least you hadn't until today. And when next was going to be the saliva shower.
That's
that
right.
was next. The spit was coming.
That took me back to Latrobe on the fields of St. Vincent's right there. Him getting fired up and that chin coming out.
How about that? Now, what do you think? Now, that's a guy, and I understand from a coaching perspective why he would say that. There are a lot of guys who deserve opportunities and don't get them. Yeah. And then Jim Irsay goes out and does this.
I completely understand what Coach Cowher is saying, because there are a lot of coaches. If you think about the head coaches on that staff that previously had experience, Gus Bradley, and you talk about John Fox, those guys have been head coaches before. They could have easily slid into that role. But you know what, and then here's the other side of me, is that you see these things happening all the time in America, right? You see people leapfrogging other people because of relationships. You see it in sports, you see it in business, you see it in TV, you see it all across the board. So to me, it's just kind of, that's what's happening nowadays, right? And it's really right here, and it's the biggest sport in America right now, actually for the last decade or more. And so that's why it's poignant. So it doesn't surprise me, but I can see Coach Cowher saying this, because there are a lot of guys that work hard and that sacrifice their life and their lifestyle that they maybe wanted before for coaching. But there are a lot of coaches out there, Bob, that are in the NFL that aren't very good coaches, that are on staffs because of relationships. So I see both sides of this.
All right, let me ask you this from a devil's advocate point of view. Let's say that Jim Irsay says, you know what Jeff Saturday can do? He is a culture builder. He has people that he will delegate to do these things. I need him to be the culture man. I need him to be the guy on top of the organization. He needs to be the face of the franchise and do all the things necessary. He has guys who can run offense and defense. He oversees it. And maybe he cited that as lacking in the Indianapolis organization. Could you hire a guy just to bring a culture?
No, because you have to be the head coach, because you're going to command because you're the head coach. You can hire and fire.
He's one of the best offensive linemen in their history.
Yes, and if you put him in as a guy who's just like your rah-rah guy that establishes the culture, nobody's going to listen to him. When you're the head coach, you're the voice. Everybody's going to listen to you. So maybe that was the mentality of Jim Irsay, was, hey, I'm going to bring this guy in. He's a good manager of people. He's really got a good head on his shoulders. And that's what a head coach has to do. And you hire yourself a good offensive coordinator. You hire yourself a good defensive coordinator. The problem was they had nobody on the offense to call plays coming in this week after they fired Frank Reich, and the week before that firing their offensive coordinator. So the reality is this is a sticky situation for guys that went through the grind like Bill Cowher and guys that are going through the grind right now. This is a blow, and it is a disgrace to them. But to me, it's something that we see every day throughout the country.
In corporate America, absolutely. By the way, for the record, Jeff Saturday's team's off to a 10-0 lead over the Raiders. He has instituted and put Matt Ryan back at quarterback when Frank Reich said it's only going to be Sam Ehlinger. The next thing you know, he's 10 for 13. He's got a touchdown. So the Steelers are going to have to deal with that in a couple of weeks. Interesting. We want your takes now coming up. You've heard a lot from us. You heard from players and coaches. What do you think about not only today, but looking ahead for the Steelers? Beginning with the Bengals next week, we're going to take your calls on a special edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do this show every night on Pittsburgh CW at 10:35. We have it for you coming up next. Call 412-575-2600. 20-10, your final score. The Steelers get to 3-6 for the big home game against the Bengals coming up. Thanks for joining us here on your neighborhood Ford store. Extra Point, the Sports Call, is next.